All right, here we go. New chapter begins now. The world's about to change. That's a promise. I haven't streamed in so long. Feels good to start again. So for anyone that's going to tune in or watch this recording later, essentially the goal, the plan is to build something live, creating the guide, creating literally a step-by-step process on how to eliminate insecurity and fear. There's a lot of things that we just don't understand in this world. And it took me a long time to get there. And I had a lot of help from many people and things, but I finally now understand what's going on. And it's my experience. It's not the 100% truth. I want people to start experiencing and understanding other people's perspectives and then evaluate it against their own and see what happens. And maybe they learn something, maybe they don't. But once you start trying things and you start experimenting, you have an opportunity to grow. So that's the whole point of this. And I'm going to be showing how I actually literally record my videos, how I edit them, how I work on social media, how I write comments, how I do everything. Step by step. It's all going to be fully visible to everyone that wants to watch it, everyone that wants to experience it, everyone that wants to learn. Hopefully you can take something from my methodology, from my approach, from my beliefs. And all I'm asking is if it helps you, just pass it forward, spread it, teach people the good things that you got. There's no catch, there's no benefit other than the world changing, period. If one person watches this and experiences this and decides that they got motivated to try something themselves and they can motivate 6 other people, that's the chain, that's the domino effect, that's the whole point of this. That's how this works. So that's how we're going to be operating from here on out every day. Just this is the over the hump. I believe that we all have to take a first step to cross a line, start a new journey, just to completely reevaluate and change our life. And this is that moment. This is that moment for me, trying something new. I've never really streamed, and now I just want people to see everything that goes into building this, and hopefully over time, build a website, build a Discord, create a community of where we can actually talk about topics that need to be discussed that currently are being censored on social medias. So we can't really discuss awakening and spirituality and bosses that treat you poorly and other industries that are in desperate need of reform. And it all begins by someone normalizing that and this safe haven being created. And that's what's going to happen. That's what is happening. And for the people who get here early, well, you're going to see something incredible be created over time. Who knows how long it's going to take, but we're going to build something. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter the numbers, because this is going to be recorded, this is going to be edited, this is going to be released. So it's just changing that perspective shift internally to realizing that it's all about helping people and creating a new world where we become one. We literally become united. We become one entity that just understands that we're all humans, we're all alive, and that's all that matters. So I'm going to start recording on Descript. That's the program that I use for my videos, for podcasting. And I'm going to go from there. Let's change to music. Let's go something a little more emotional. If you're watching just please feel free to send a message in chat. I'm not sure exactly how this works yet, so I'd love to build a community with anyone who's watching. Say hello. It all begins with one person, so you could be the hero. You could be the first. All right, so let's do this. Descript. So the way I approach it is when I'm recording things, I first write down my process. So just for anyone who might watch, I don't know if it's one of those videos or stuff like this, but write down my notes, get into the mindset of my approach. Do a lot of research and studying before I even get started, but I have an outline. Right now I'm still a little rusty. So I'm getting back into the groove of things. So in the past, I would just have an outline, and then I could talk from those outlines, and I could talk for a long period of time. But we're getting back there. But for now, since I'm making videos that have backdrops, I don't feel as obligated or as pressured to actually look into the camera, and I don't use AI for editing or anything of that nature. So it just gives me the opportunity to focus on the voice and delivery of the message. But yeah, just write it out, and then we're going to be, you get to see the workings of a mad scientist, and we're going to be reading it out. And as I am discussing it, I'm going to be adding things to make sure that the message comes across, and I'll be showing my editing process and everything. So for people who want to know the chaos behind the genius, this is what this is going to be about. And I just believe in full transparency, and people need to realize that it's doable, it's possible, anyone can do this. And it all just begins with taking that first step. And it was challenging getting to this point, even for me. You start focusing on the meaningless metrics, the vanity, the graphics, the amount of people watching, if you're going to actually make an impact, how many people like it. Like, it's not about that. It's not about that. Especially like if you're anything like me, where you understand how relevant and big and important it is to not sometimes interact with everything you see, especially with the algorithms and everything like that. So I understand why people might not. So anyway, that's my intro. Anyone who watches this later, if you have any questions, please ask. Let's get started. So this is, it's hard to find a way to write something and create something and explain something that talks about topics that for the most part have been taboo in this world till now. I'm going to talk a lot about awakening, about how certain things that we believe operate in a normal way, actually, there's a lot more that goes into them than we think. Talking about illusions, talking about what many people might consider conspiracies that are not, talking about things of that nature. So if you're excited about, actually having real talk, then you're in the right spot. Okay. Let's see. I think I'm going to go with something a little more. I believe in having background music. I think music is extremely powerful. I believe that it guides us. I believe that it can provoke emotion within us. I believe that it can be the thing that you need to calm yourself. Normally, I'm still figuring out the stream setup. Normally, what I would do is have music on my phone while I'm recording so that I can use it as flow. So get into a flow state where you can just speak freely, and the next thing you know, you just talked for like 20 minutes without even looking at your notes because the music just hit right. So finding the right song that motivates you, that gets you into that flow state, is absolutely critical. So right now, obviously, I'm trying some of the songs that I use for the brand and the videos, but we'll see what happens. Okay. So let's do this. Let's go to Descript. the beginning. Alrighty. Let's see how it looks. Oh, you don't see the video thing. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So let's hit record. And here we go. Once we have a wound on our body, what's the first thing that we do? We wash it. We put a Band-Aid on it so that it doesn't get infected, so that nothing seeps into the cracks. If we're in a state of despair, we're vulnerable to outside forces and influences, regardless of our beliefs. If it's spiritual, if it's negative friends, if it's an abusive boss, or perhaps it's just social media, AI, and news. This is my initial theory on what insecurity, on what the dark one, on what and how the world actually works. And this is my initial theory versus what I know now. This is where it began, and now you will be seeing the progression of that journey. So I had a struggle in my life, professionally, personally. Things just didn't add up. Things didn't make sense. Like there was just, it's almost seemed like something was intentionally attacking me. And I don't want to play the victim card, but it's not the focus of the story. But my point is, I think a lot of people can relate to, there comes a point in their life where they don't understand what's happening. They can't explain why they're experiencing the things that they're experiencing. It just seems like it's one blow after another, and you start questioning yourself. You start questioning if there's something wrong with you. You start questioning if maybe I am the problem. Well, I fell to zero. I was completely broken, and I started a process of healing and doing self-therapy and developing self-awareness. And as I healed, I realized that there was actually nothing wrong with me. Yet I fully believed that I was broken. And still to this day, there's lingering fragments of pain and issues. And it made me realize that if it could happen to someone like me, who had climbed the ladder, who had put in extensive work, who's obsessed with self-improvement and understanding the world, what about someone who doesn't put in that time and that effort? Do they even have a chance? So that's the backstory. So as I've technical difficulties. So as I began connecting the dots, I realized that there were some things that didn't make sense. First of all, it seemed like the goal of the world was to condition the majority to base their worth and value completely on their work or if they have a job. So what happens if you fire people? If you raise prices, if you drain their resources, if you reduce jobs, if you post fake jobs to give people false hope, but they're never going to get that job. So all you're doing is destroying their hope. Now, since you prevented them from getting a job, you affect their home life because they base their entire worth, their relationship, and their life goals on money. Now, their confidence is destroyed. So what happens? Insecurity and fears and traumas are created. All of a sudden, their wife, or their husband, or their children, they're panicking. Sickness comes in. Illness. It pushes people to credit cards, predatory debt, high interest rates. All of a sudden, mental health is completely priced out. It's way too expensive, so people cannot go to a therapist, or if they lost their job, they don't even have healthcare insurance. And then you highly, highly, highly encourage people to drink and embrace escapism or smoking, basically reaching toward drugs as the solution and just materialism. That's the answer to everything. While also making it taboo to talk about these problems. You don't talk about why you got fired or why you got let go or that your mental health is struggling or that your child is having a terrible time or that you're actually unemployed, that you've been unemployed for 7 months because it's embarrassing. Who decided that it's embarrassing? Who made it embarrassing? Who pushed that narrative? Who made us feel that way? So now people are wallowing in self-loathing. They're destroying themselves. And what happens when you're hurt, when you're feeling bad? You start destroying other people around you. You start destroying your wife. You start destroying your kid. You start destroying your parents. You start destroying your friends, your neighbors, the house. Things start slipping. Dishes get dirty. You don't start taking care of the chores anymore. And clutter is real. Like, it affects you. It affects the energy of the room, the mood, the vibe. So now you start becoming secluded. Now it's just you, or maybe your immediate family. You stop texting people. You lose connections. What happens when you lose connections? Then you lose support. And now you have no one to talk to about it. So you believe everything that's wrong with you. And then you might go to social media to escape. And now you see people say, I just got a job. Or I just bought a new house. Or I just went on this vacation. And you're like, we're about to lose our house. We just have to take out our 401k. And I can't even tell anyone about that because what's going to happen? What are they going to think about me? My mom is going to think I'm a loser. And it just, the cycle continues and continues and continues. So based on all of these things, this is just like was a preliminary from my experience. It was like, is there something, especially once you factor in AI, was there something that wants us to all be consumed by fear, trauma, insecurity, negativity? Is there something or someone that's feeding off of it? Is it, the CEOs of big companies? Or is there something else? I didn't know enough when I first came up with this theory, but that is what started my process down the sales diplomat path, which is where I tried to, and I succeeded in many ways, but I didn't get to where I wanted to because it's a never-ending battle. We're improving the sales industry, fixing hiring, teaching people how to interview better, teaching self-awareness, all for the sake of improving the situation of that people were going through. I was like, people are getting destroyed. If I got destroyed, I know for a fact that at least one other person is going through what I'm going through. So I just knew I didn't want anyone to go through what I did. I had a little baby boy. He was 5 months when I quit my job, and after struggling with many issues, to see the impact and the effect that it had on my family and myself and everyone. It's just, I knew that whatever caused this needs to be stopped. So I started investigating, and I came to the conclusion that this was no accident. This was a calculated, planned play that's been developed for a long time coming, and they didn't expect anyone to figure it out or catch on to what's going on. But this is where everything changes, because I not only have spent the last basically 2 years studying everything about this, figuring out every single thing, interviewing people, discussing with countless people, researching books, movies, video games, understanding what is happening, how it's happening, and some help from other friends that you guys will meet soon enough. But the point is, the world's about to change. Once all this information comes out and a few other people believe it, and then it spreads, everything is going to change. So let's begin. Got to drink from your wine water glass. Or sorry, a wine glass filled with water. I don't drink anymore because I believe alcohol is one of the demons. And But drinking from a glass can give you the same impact that drinking wine would. It's the experience, the feel. And then, of course, some tea. Alrighty. So for anyone who watches this later, the reason why I can do what I'm doing right now is because I can edit it, which means that I can just cut this part out or leave it in. It's valuable information. So there's no downside to this. Okay. Alrighty, let's continue. So now, knowing that theory, where do we go from there? Thus begins the guide, the training, the exposure of knowledge to fight back. Once you know how it works, you can hold a fighting chance. You can hold a fighting chance. Before, you're doing exactly what they want. All right, here we go. Where do we go from there? I want people to understand that most things simply do not matter. Oh, I did 80% of the work and you did 20%? Who cares? It doesn't matter. The moment you start focusing on that, you get lost in the details. You start going down a rabbit hole and you start creating anxieties and fears and traumas and problems. And it could be completely avoided by just being like, well, yeah, I know I did 80% of the work. Okay, so be proud. Labels, names, jargon, complicated explanations. All that does is make people focus on the wrong things, on the superficial. It's about the underlying lessons. And the key, ask yourself one question. Do we understand each other? Do you understand what I'm saying? Is the message getting across? If yes, we're winning. If not, we run it back one more time until eventually we do. So all this leads to a statement that I didn't used to like. I actually despised it the first time I heard it. Inspired from Tenet. Whatever happens, happens. So whatever side effect or consequence or benefit that comes from this stream, these videos, these recordings, whatever happens, happens. I'm ready and prepared for it. So with that said, would you step on a nail if you knew it was there? Would you choose to stand next to a loud trumpet while trying to relax? Would you decide to willingly put yourself in a room with your greatest fears and trauma and triggers if you could choose not to? All three of those examples are what I call smoke and mirrors. Noise. Here's something for you to think about. Try making a new email. Turn your phone off for the entire day. And ask yourself, wow, has my life always been so noisy? No notifications, no dings, no nothing. Nothing demanding your attention. And of course, be careful with TVs and all that other stuff, but try it out. So let's say that all three of those examples are intentionally fabricated for a purpose. If true, what outcome results from those examples? Think about that. Pain, fear, joy, insecurity, hope. What if they just are there to make you forget? What value lies in erasing someone's memories? If they're a blank slate, could you rewrite them? Could you rewrite their story? Could you convince them of things that are not true? Why would someone do that? For what purpose? How? What do you think? Here's one for you. What if there was a way for your REM dreams to be intentionally planted, and you could see things and experience things that someone wants you to experience and see. It's a possibility. All of a sudden, you think about it like that with everything. So that was with the dreams, but what if if it's like that in everything we do? What if they can make us see and experience things that they want us to see and experience? So then you ask yourself, for what purpose? So before we continue, I want you to consider this. The definition of a miracle. Many people would disagree with me. Many people would describe it in a different way. How would you describe it? Think about it right now. Pause for a second. How would you describe a miracle? For me, it's rewiring faulty programming. In anything. But think about it in your brain. Think about it in a TV, a computer, something that just ceased to function. If you make it work again, isn't it almost like magic? That's what a miracle is. As we are about to get started, I want everyone to remember, do not let your good memories be tainted by the dark moments. No matter what, keep it safe. Put it in your heart. Grab the key, lock it, and hide it somewhere that only you know, behind 1,000,000 passwords. It's their favorite play to mess with that. It's their favorite play. All right, here we go. As we begin, enjoy the journey, my friends. Remember this moment. I'm going to remember this moment. I already feel amazing just from 27 minutes of doing this. This moment, what did we first believe? What did we know? What did we think was happening? How did each stage progress day by day, month by month, week by week? Our behaviors, our actions. This is only the beginning. Are you ready to get quiet and finally learn how this earth actually works? Now imagine if you were able to operate on the level that nothing is true and nothing is false. Pure consideration versus believing everything you see. This following statement you can test for yourself. Search engines have a different database. The same things will not appear in each one, despite typing in the exact same sentence. Try it out. Something simple. See what happens. So my question to you is, if it happens, just try it out with 3 different search engines. See what happens. Is it intentional? Are they trying to hide certain things? Are they trying to push certain things? Or are they trying to prioritize specific things? It actually might not be from malice, but it could be unintended consequences. If you can literally type the same thing in 3 different objects, services, websites, and get different results, my question to you is, how can we be certain of anything that we experience, that we see? Imagine if every time you opened the door and you walked outside, you saw something different, as if you lived in 3 different worlds. Could you believe any of the worlds as true or real? What would you do? What would you say? Curious to hear what you guys think. So when you get to that point, you start thinking about it, and it's like, well, could it be agendas? Are they trying It's for specific things to be seen. Do they want them to be seen? So imagine these companies are working for specific parties or factions. Now, these factions, they tell the company, hey, push X. If someone types in this, we want you to show them this. They might be paying them, they might be helping them some other way, influencing, networking, whatever you want to believe, it's true. Could this be how they target specific people to learn specific, unique knowledge, to push things to people, to their audience, so that they engage with the system? Is that the whole goal? To engage with the system? Everyone thinks it's all about the negative people. You got to avoid them. So you don't think that the powers that be and the people that have control know that? You don't think that they've targeted positive, helpful people? Therapists, fitness influencers. You can tell them exactly what to say to get them, people, their audience, to engage with the system. And what happens when they engage with the system? We're going to talk about all this stuff in more depth. You get people's energy. And a term that you're going to be familiar with, if you haven't already, loosh. Basically, draining someone's energy. So who would want that energy? Why would they want that energy? For what purpose? So it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy, observe, or interact with the system. But what if you knew that you're only seeing 1/3 of the pie of the world? But all this time, until now, until this moment, you thought you were seeing the entire pie. You thought that was it. It was the entire pie. It's the entire world. Changes things greatly. Oh, we explored all of France, but we only checked out Paris. Yes, it's a prominent location, but it's not the entire country. So did you really explore the entirety of France? What do you guys think? So imagine that each web browser is a library of the past. One is the Library of Alexandria. One is the Library of the Egyptians. One's the Library of the Anunnaki. Each one of them has their own version of events and stories that happened in our past. They get to write the history. They get to write the Bible. They can literally say someone else won that battle or war than actually did. And if you educate and teach the people that you are putting through your school system that that's the case, and they don't know anything different, why would they think that they're not seeing the entire pie, even though it's maybe only 10% of the pie? You guys starting to get this? What's going on here? And if you only use that one library, that's all you know. So who do you believe once you realize and investigate that there's 3 libraries? Who's telling the truth? Especially if there's contradicting information. So think about apps. It's the exact same way. Info's uploaded to websites, devices, quote unquote, libraries. Who has the power? The one behind the library. They decide history. If they win the credibility war, they become the de facto truth and authority. What if you believe that that website is credible? That's that. Anything that you read there is real. Now, think about that. If that's the power that's behind it, why wouldn't these big tech companies slander the other tech company? Think about it. What are the benefits? They literally can write history. Why wouldn't they do that? Now, here's another question. What if there's factions, right? So the dark and the light. What if specific tech companies serve a specific effect? But you don't know that. Think about that power, power that they hold. How easy could it be for them, or quote unquote, the dark one? And we'll talk about more about what I mean when I say the dark one, to literally tell exactly what content they want pushed, suppressed, allowed, encouraged, all for the sake of getting people to play the game the way it wants you to play, all for energy. So let's talk energy. Quick break right here. Pause. So, just ate a gummy bear. I love my Haribos. Go to Descript now, and it's going to transcribe everything that I just recorded. Takes a little bit because it's a big recording. But it's here normally you can see the camera. Oh gosh. It better have worked. I think it should. I hope so, at least. If not, well, I'll have to take it from the stream. There we go. So you see, it auto-populates, and everything that we just talked about is here. And I'll show like the editing process and all that stuff another time, but you can even mess around with the timeline here. If you guys haven't used Descript, really good. And this one, you can zoom in and out and start editing the things, and it's just a really powerful tool. But we'll get more to that in a little bit. Okay. So I'm just going to put a little marker here for me to know that this is where I stopped. And then let's continue. This one done. Right. Here we go. Okay, we're back. So, energy. Can energy be created? The law of energy conservation claims that energy can only be converted and formed, not created. Matter and energy can be converted to one another, though. So, my question, if that is true, what happens when something uses a lot of energy and needs it? Think of it as like an electric car. You're driving and driving and driving and driving, 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 speeding, heat, all that stuff, and it's draining the battery. Your mileage is running low. What do you need to do? You need to plug it in, or you need to charge somewhere. But what if there's a limited amount of energy? What if your energy, like humans, as far as I know, we're not powered by electricity. So that doesn't work for us. We can't just plug into an outlet. So we need a different type of energy. So what happens when something needs that, but it can't just plug into an outlet? It needs to take, it needs to steal. It needs to, what I will call it this term, entropy. It needs disorder. It needs chaos. It needs to fabricate situations that cause entropy, which is essentially the drain and transfer of energy. Fear. Fear causes that. Fear creates a situation where all of a sudden energy can start being harvested. So we're going to stop there before we go deeper in that, but that's where it begins. So there's energy. So if we can all agree that energy exists, if energy cannot be created from thin air, as far as I know, and you know, that means that if we're all playing with the same amount of energy in this game of life, in this arena, in this world, if something wants more of it than it should have, how would it do so? It'd have to take it. Do we really want to give up our energy? Like, think about it. Think about it like this. I believe in meters, and I'll probably draw a graph here on another time on Canva. Actually, probably shouldn't do this right now. Where's Canva? Stream at that. Share screen. That's okay. I'll do it another time. So think of it like there's an energy meter. If you've ever played video games, think of it as a health meter. 0 to 100, we each think of it as in percentages if it's easier for you to understand, but I'm just going to use flat numbers. Every action that you do consumes some of it. It might be 0.1 of 100. So, like every time you walk, it might be 0.00001. So it's not a lot, but you can say that food and water and supplements and things of that nature restore some energy. Maybe having a coffee gives you +5, right? And so forth. Like, think about it just like that everything that we do it's our fuel, it's our life force, it's our energy. If it gets low enough, we need to sleep, because sleeping refuels or recharges the energy. But you can never get past 100. 100 is the cap. So if you're at 100 and you sleep, well, first of all, your body's going to fight you. It's not going to try to sleep. But let's say you've somehow managed to. You maybe take sleeping pills or things of that nature. It's not going to fill up past 100. We can't. Like, that excess energy is just, if there is like a temporary surplus, it's going to dissipate and vanish very quickly. So essentially, 100 is the max. I would argue that doing things we love, doing things that we believe in, helps us regain our energy, helps us recover it. So if we think about it like that, do we think that movies, games, stories, music, can they create energy? If doing things we love and enjoy refuels us, could this video, could this audio conversation, could this stream give you energy? Don't we talk about how energy is contagious? The energy of the room. Life revolves around energy. The more you look into it, the more you think about it, the more you process it, the more it starts making sense. But if it's so critical to our life, if it's so critical to who we are, if it's so critical to everything that we do, yet we can't create it, that makes it the most valuable resource in the world. So everyone tends to think that it's time, that it's money, that it's all these things, but energy energy is actually the most valuable resource. And it's not oil energy, it's not fossil fuels, it's life energy. Life energy. Because the only way to get more of it is through repairing and healing. Because we can't create it. We can give some to other people, but we can't create it as far as we know. So think about it like this. Money is energy. Money holds energy. You're like, how's that possible? It's just a piece of paper, or it's just digital. Especially now with credit cards, like literally whoever has access to the banks, if they wanted to, they could type in an extra zero on your bank account and boom. I mean, obviously if they get caught, there'd be issues, right? But technically, so how is it possible that some digital number and some paper has energy, holds people's energy? Well, we decided as collectively as society, or did we? Or is there specific people that chose that? Think about it like this. Why do companies charge so much for products? Why do they make things more expensive? Why do they want more money? Why is it always the race to who can make the most money, the most profits, the shareholders? Think about that. They want your energy. They want money. They want your energy. It's not a conspiracy. Literally, if money holds energy, think about it like this. Energy is time, money, emotion. Like, it's essentially just absorbing all that work you put in, everything that you did. So if you worked for 8 hours at your job and you got paid $8, so $1 per hour, now you have 8 energy, right? Like that, you gave up 8 hours, you gave up energy, literally working there. And in exchange for that, they gave you money to represent that transfer of energy that you gave them. They're giving you back. But my question to you is, life energy, is it really worth the same as $8? Especially if you can just continue raising the price of things? Is it really the same? If I gave you 8% of my life of today, you really think that's $8 worthy? 2 packs of gum? So think about the blood. Think about the sweat. Think about the tears. Think about why they would want you to go back to the office. Think about why they create negative environments at work. Why do you think certain people get promoted? Climb the ladder. Every company starts off as a good company. Even the ones that might be working with the dark factions. They had good intentions. But all it takes is for the dark one. Or just think about it as, like, for example, if I decided to start a company and, I wanted to start a nonprofit, and I realized all the loopholes and the exploits that you can use donating and not having to pay taxes. And, like all of a sudden it becomes dark. But what if now these dark people, or this dark one, or myself, we target specific people at the top of the company that are leaders? You don't even have to think about it in the spiritual level or some entity. That is where we're heading. But think about it from just people around you. If you target specific people at the top and you ruin them completely, you make them mad, you cause issues in their life, you cause them to doubt themselves, you cause them to forget who they are, you make them fear. You make them worry that if they don't do this, they're going to lose their job. And if that happens, they're going to lose their wife, and they're going to lose their kid. And it's just a chain reaction of things. So what are they going to do? They're going to listen to you out of fear. So now they're going to become exploiters. Imagine if you have a few exploiters at the top of the pyramid. You create slavery. Think Prince of Egypt. right? Like they just had slavers everywhere and slaves just nonstop. Guys, I'm just going to say it bluntly. If you're working today in a company that doesn't treat you like a god, you're a slave, period. Work in companies in the current environment is just an illusion. It was just a way for them to get around the word and the negative connotation of slavery. You're still a slave. If you're part of the system and if you're trading your life energy for a mediocre, meager amount of money, you are a slave. You're not free. You don't have choice. You don't have control. It's up to them. And if they've ever threatened you, if they've ever made you work in a negative work environment, if they haven't given you a break, you are a slave. Just because it's better than it was back then doesn't change the fact that you're still a slave. Guess what? Even in the Prince of Egypt, even in the Holocaust, in all those dark, horrible situations, they still fed them. They still gave them water. They kept them alive for labor. Think about this. We put price on products. Why do we put a price on people? That's what wages are. Why would we put a price on people? Because we are the product. We're their product. They're literally using us for energy. Think about it. If money is energy, they're using us for energy. So every single company that's out there, and there's a few that I'm sure are fighting against it, but if they are, they're not going to be doing that well. They're going to be suppressed. They're going to be attacked. They're going to be berated. They're going to be insulted. They're going to be, it's just anything possible to make sure that that doesn't happen. So I will call these now companies, these work environments, human ranches. So think of it like the dark one. If there's like, just think of it like the president, the bad president of the country. If you don't want to think about it as an entity up above that has this power that can literally put things in place. If it installs a drain entity, is what I'm going to call it. So think of it as like a flower, a Venus flytrap that is installed underground every single company, the headquarters. Or if it's a virtual company, online. And that drain entity is only created and propagated if there's fear present. So if you ever heard the phrase, "We will fire you if X happens," or if you don't do this, what does that create in you? Fear. Think about it. Who would you promote? Or who do they usually promote? A light or a dark worker? If you know that there's someone that's going to help the people around them, that's going to encourage them, that's going to train them, that's going to make them believe, it's going to make them happy, it's going to make them smile, it's going to make them laugh. Or you have someone else that's literally going to whip people, it's going to create fear, it's going to propagate the drainage of their energy, make it worse, make them, because think of your energy is drained the moment you start feeling anxiety, fear, insecurity, worry, pain, suffering, all of those things, negative emotions. Those are what drain your energy. Those are what make you feel less. Simple. We're going to get into the deeper specifics of how that works down the road, but just right now I want you to think about it like fear drains your energy. So if a company is literally in place, their whole purpose is to create a machine that drains your energy, get as much money as possible, basically, and just absorb it from you and customers. Why would they ever promote a light worker unless they absolutely have to? It makes no sense for them. That means they're draining less energy. Why would you? They don't want salespeople to discount. It means that they get less energy. Don't help the customer. It means we get less energy. Make their life miserable. You see what I mean, guys? Like, are you starting to piece this together? Right? Have you ever heard the phrase that they know how to play the game? That's why they got promoted. What if there is a dark entity? And think about it, just if you can't imagine or picture that there could be something above us in a spiritual world or in another dimension or things of that nature that could be considered the dark one. Think of it just as the CEO or the president of the company. This dark entity controls the game. They own the game. They're the designer. So if they want people to give up their energy, why would they design it in any other way but to help that situation? Right? So the people who know how to play the game, basically, are people who just cause problems, cause fear, cause damage, and they're being rewarded for it. We always ask, like, why does it seem like the bad people, the people who do negative things, climb the ladder? And we're like, oh, it's because they know how to play the game. It's like networking, smoozing. I'm like, no. They are willing to do the dark deeds. They're willing to exploit. They're willing to hurt. They're willing to stab people in the back because it means that they get more benefits in their eyes, right? They're going to get more energy. They're going to get more money. They're going to move up the ladder. But because of that, to do that, they're literally, many people say, selling their soul, trading it for energy. I will say this as I continue. Everyone has theories. Everyone has theories about how the world works, about how things are, how things were. But here's the problem with that. If it's just a theory and it's never discussed and it's never brought to light and it's never explained and it's never tested out, that's the key. It has to be tested out. Are you stress testing the system, the limits, the possibilities? Are you? Are you? If not, if you're afraid to, nothing's ever going to change. Ever. Nothing's ever going to change. It's time, guys. That's why I'm talking about this. Because I am encouraging all of you to take this information and bring it back and evaluate against your own beliefs, your own experiences, your own situations. And maybe this is finally the conversation where you realize that, wait a minute, I agree with you. There's been some weird stuff. And you speak up, you say something, you start fighting back. And perhaps that company's drain entity, that Venus flytrap, is broken. And what happens then? All those people who had their energy drained, who are literally become empty husks, souls, because their energy is completely being drained, now have energy. What can you do when you have energy? You can exercise, you can go on runs, you can pursue your passions, you can pursue your hobbies, you start believing in things, you start getting healthier, all of a sudden you look younger, all of a sudden you lose weight, all of a sudden you make better decisions, all of a sudden you're not fighting with your family anymore, because guess what? You realize even if you don't have money, you're happy. You feel good. You feel at peace. You feel light. And that's the key. Think about it. Why is it that the system intentionally wants people to not have time? Why would they want them to go back to the office so they have to commute for an hour there and back? So wake up early, stuck in traffic. What does traffic do? It causes frustration, it causes stresses, road rage, more energy draining right there. You guys turn to see, like, it's all about energy and fabricating situations that present opportunities for energy draining to happen. And I ask them, why? Why would that be the case? Well, who wants that? What wants that? Why? Like, look everywhere around you. Everything around you is creating situations to drain your energy. If you disagree, please tell me. I'd love to discuss it with you, because I don't think I'm 100% correct. I believe I'm extremely close. I might be the closest yet, but there's refinement that can be happening here. But it only happens through conversation and discussion. So please share your ideas, share your thoughts. Just picture this. If a worker comes home 30 energy out of 100. Because they work really hard at work. They barely got any sleep. They were stuck in traffic. Do you think that they're really going to spend a lot of time now to clean up their house, to pursue a side project to improve the world? No. They're going to go home and they're going to have a glass of whiskey, smoke a cigarette. He might not even walk their dog and just let them out in the backyard. They might yell at their dog for yapping. It's like, why? Why are you being so loud? They might just go to their phone and start browsing social media, comparing themselves. Do you see where I'm going with this, guys? So now, by creating a system that literally drains your energy, guess what they're going to do now? They're going to sleep. So now they sleep, but they probably cause damage at home to their friends, to their family, to other people. So all creating a new Venus flytrap in their home now. It's also draining their energy because fear creates it. Tell me, when you feel anxious, fear, dark emotions, do you feel like weaker versus when you're singing, you're happy, you're dancing, you're loving? Tell me what you guys think. I would argue that fear creates it. It can create a Venus flytrap of anywhere, or a dark entity that is literally absorbing your energy, parasite. But anyway, so you see, like, you can literally prevent the world from evolving because they're spending all their time at work, and then after that, they're just trying to survive because they're exhausted because they have no energy left. And then you market them certain things that are supposed to help them with their energy issues. But really, they're just going to drain them more. Alcohol gives you temporary energy. You're basically taking energy for now, which you'd have tomorrow. Like a hangover. And we're not even going to get into the other aspects of alcohol, negative stuff. So just losing control. But the point is, what if there's literally an entity or organization, group of people that just don't want humanity to progress because it's not in their benefit? They want to progress, they want to grow, they want all the energy, but they don't want you guys to develop. They want to keep you down. Not for any, they don't hate you. It's not personal at all. You're just cattle. You're just energy. That's it. Don't take it personally. You don't mean anything to them, good or negative. You're literally just food supply. So here's a question, though. If movies, games, art, stories can hold creative energy and heal, does that mean that someone like me who understands therapy, self-awareness, if I know how to heal, let's say I healed a friend from 30 to 80 energy with my methods, my techniques, did I transfer my energy? Did I create new energy? Can I heal without losing energy? What do you guys think? I believe that it's possible to take just a little bit of yours, if you understand the concept, and give to a lot of people. So shouldn't we be developing healers around the world? This is why I believe in the concept of we need to create, we need to share, we need to develop stories, we need to develop our passions, the things that we know, because that conviction, that energy, that spirit gets into our work. Could that be the solution, the answer to bypassing the energy limitations that we have? Could it essentially, when I release this, could it be like a snapshot, freeze, copy the energy? And could we multiply it like this? If so, could this be the answer? We don't need to steal energy anymore. We don't need to take from other people. We just actually and create new like this by restoring. It's not technically creation, but if we restore, then people can do. And if people can do and create art and then we can snapshot it, is it possible then that we can just make a feedback loop, a chain reaction of energy transfers through these art, through these stories? And because people have energy, they can create these passions, these projects, and work on them, and so forth and so forth. Oh, of course, this is assuming that, which is the direction we're going to go to, building a society where we're no longer limited by money, where shelter is going to be provided for all, where the survival is no longer a question, right? Food is going to be covered, money is going to be covered. And no, don't be afraid of socialism and communism ideals. Those are not the devil. On the contrary, we can still have a society that there's benefits for pursuing your passions and your projects and being good at what you do. You know, that's fine. And that's going to have to be figured out by people that are experts in that. But the point is, imagine if you don't have to worry about rent. Imagine if you don't have to worry about feeding your children and your dogs. Imagine if you just know that you're going to have water, you're going to have electricity, and you're going to have internet. You're going to be okay. Now, if you want the best microphone, there might be some system in place for that. But the bare necessities are covered. So if the bare necessities are covered, are you really going to be afraid? Now, you might be willing to take a risk. You might be willing to leave that job that is essentially a human ranch, slavery. You're not going to put up with it anymore because you don't need to. You're not worried about dying. Now, if you're going to work for such a place, it would be for something extra. Would you really become a slave to get a nicer microphone? You tell me. We need to move away from sorry, I'm just trying to figure out where I'm going to go from here. Let's pause there. Am I calling? I'm just waiting for the Descript thing to download. We're on a roll right now, so we're going to keep going. Midnight Streamer. Just going to get a quick snack. Okay, let's continue. Okay. Let's continue. All right. So, to finish up on the energy discussion, there's one thing that I forgot to mention, which I think is perhaps the most important part. And at the same time, the thing that makes me sad. If, humor me, if you believe that there's a dark one up above that can influence and control and affect things, or just the leader of the pyramid, the CEO, the president, whoever. I believe that's 100% true, but it's up to you. I can't force you. Picture this. If its entire goal and purpose is to drain our energy, aka loosh, create those Venus flytraps, Harry Potter, Dementors, something that drains your energy, and if it's created from fear, negative emotions, terrible situations, why wouldn't it just literally mess with the people on top of the food chain to make them start harvesting it for them? For it, pardon my language. So to make them harvest for the Dark One, you literally can destroy the people at top. Make them and here's the part that people don't realize. They think it's happening while they're at the company. No. This might be hard for a lot of people to swallow this pill, but this has been going on since the day you were born. This has been going on for centuries, for decades, for millennia. This has been going on since the beginning. There's been a battle between dark and light. And right now, the Dark One is currently in control, but not for long. This is where it changes. This is where its reign, whatever you want to call it, ends once and for all. This is where it begins. Everything is going to change from this moment forward. It is going to be completely sealed, completely contained, completely under control. There's no chance. Once people start awakening to what's going on and realizing that they have a choice to fight back, to say, no more. We're no longer going to be slaves. We're going to be free. We're going to create our promised land. We're going to believe again. We're going to understand that we don't actually have to create energy for them. We need to preserve our energy and create it for everyone. Help each other. So imagine if you were born and they saw potential in you and they realized, maybe because of your parents, that this is a perfect environment to literally create a damaged child. And that they're going to try to do this to every single person out there, right? Like, that's the goal. Try to cause as much damage, fear, insecurity, trauma, issues as possible. But what if, literally, just think about a little Mexican kid that grew up in this small neighborhood in Mexico City. His mom, poor. His dad, poor. Maybe didn't come out, quote unquote, by society's standards, handsome. So now he's judged. He's made fun of. Maybe he has a weird tooth, according to his friends. Not him. He doesn't think there's anything wrong with it, but they tell him there's something wrong with his tooth. His dad is an alcoholic because he feels guilty because he can't pay for his kid's life and his wife. So the mom and dad are fighting. The kid has to deal with that. So instead, they just lock themselves in the room and cry. So they're creating fear and insecurity. The dad beats the mom, creating more fear, insecurity, traumas, issues. Now the kid is traumatized and is worried about physical violence. Dad ends up cheating on the wife or his wife, and they end up getting divorced. So now the kid doesn't have a fatherly figure. The kid gets made fun of because he never had money. They always had broken clothes. And for some reason, wherever they go, when they're at school, when he's walking around, people always are making fun of his tooth constantly. It's like they know that that's what bothered him. They're making fun of his clothes. They're making fun of that he doesn't have a dad. Every single thing that bothers him, he gets bullied in school. He gets actually beat up. Like, it's like, why is he getting beat up? It's like they know that he's afraid of getting beat up because of his dad. Like, you see where I'm going with this? Like, if the Dark One knows, could they create a monster from the beginning? So now this kid grows up. Finally, after college, he's just tired of being an insecure little dude and just finally decides I'm going to become the best. So he becomes a salesman and he joins the company, and he realizes actually he's pretty good at this because he had to learn the skill set to survive, to persuade people, to convince people for his own survivability, right? Like, he was insecure, he was hurt. And now he learns to know how to manipulate people. He learns how to lie. He learns how to backstab. He learns how to play the game. He thinks he's smart, but he learned how to play the Dark One's game. So what do all those things do? Manipulations, lying, backstabbing, all for money, right? Because he needs money because he never had it, so that he can fix his tooth with an aesthetic treatment because, that was his issue. So that he can buy nice clothes because he never had them. He pays for classes to learn how to fight and how to self-defense because he always got beat up. He now has issues with relationships and loyalty because he's a sales guy with money, and he saw his dad always cheating, so now he does the same thing. So he's breaking up families and causing issues. But now he's just desperate to climb the ladder, and he exploits everyone, and he does. And now he becomes a VP of sales, and he creates an environment at this company that literally, with all his beliefs, he believes he has to do these things because he was literally built to be that way from day one. He was born into an environment that literally was conducive for that. And then things presented themselves to him to reinforce that daily. Now I ask you, can you picture that scenario? If so, is it really such a stretch to think that there could be things that are actually intentionally doing that from the beginning? And it's not coincidence. It's not an accident. It's planned and calculated. Now, exactly how it goes down, that's a little harder, right? There's leeway there. Like, is he going to actually look left and see that there's a picture of a kid with a weird tooth? He might not. He maybe look right, but when he looks right, he's going to see a newspaper article talking about a dad cheating on a wife. You see, guys, how easy it could be to literally fabricate a situation, create a devil, create someone who's going to become the slave master, who's going to become the exploiter. And my question then is, if that's the case, did they have a chance? Did they have a choice? We can say that there's free will. Yes, he could look left and see that, the tooth, or he can look right and see the newspaper. But if both options are terrible, is his only solution to look down? What if you're taught, don't look down, you have to walk, head, chin up, good posture? Is there something to that? Do they want us to see those things? Do they know that the answer is to look down and basically put blinders on? Do you see where I'm going with this, guys? Like, is he actually at fault? And no, I'm not defending people who exploit people. Like, I think that we all have a choice and we can all fight to be better. But my point is, if you are literally, from the beginning, reinforced in such a way and raised in an environment that is literally creating that in you, you basically have a 1% chance to defeat it. You can. You absolutely can. It's possible. This is not telling people that you can't. On the contrary, I want people to believe more than anything. This is the whole point of this, is there's a way around it. There's a way to fight back against it, but you have to realize what's happening. You have to understand that these things are not a conspiracy theory. These things aren't fake. These things aren't a dream. They're happening. And the sooner you open your eyes and realize that it's actually happening, is the sooner you can start defending yourself against it, because it's happening. It's happening everywhere. And I'm going to continue talking about this in detail and point out every single thing that I've seen and every single thing I've experienced. And I'm sure I don't know everything, but that's where I need you guys to talk about what you've experienced. And before, some people might have laughed at you and told you that you're crazy. This is going to be a safe environment. I'm going to be sharing a Discord here soon where we can get together and actually talk about these things and share what people are seeing and experiencing. And it's safe. Like, no one's going to judge you for it. On the contrary, we're trying to figure this out because this needs to end. The dark one, he's going down. It's going down, whatever you want to call it. But just think about it. You literally create someone to be that exploiter on top of a company so that they get as much energy, as much money. And then now, because they're hurt and that's all they know, they're going to do that to other people. So literally, they're just constantly creating new things. They basically got forced into it. And the worst part is that those people don't even realize why they are the way they are. So, I already touched on a little bit of this with what I just talked about, but I want people to get around this concept of you need to accept. And I say need because if you leave it open for interpretation, you will never get there. As long as you leave it open as it's a chance, you never will pass the hump. You have to believe that it's fact. You have to believe that it's a fact so that you can actually start understanding and moving on. Now, believing something's a fact doesn't mean that you operate on that, right? Like, there's so many things that can seep into your mind and you think it's a fact and it's not. So that's what I mean. Don't take it like that, but just, you have to get to the point where you're like, okay, I can operate, basically create a simulation for yourself. Like, can I create an alternate reality where I believe that what he's saying, what Fabian is saying is true? With the Star Diplomat, I gotta start saying that more often. What the Star Diplomat is saying is true, that literally, could there be a world, a situation where this is real? If you can get to that level, then you can start critically thinking and evaluating things. So we need to accept that there are things influencing us logically and on a higher spiritual level. Both light and good. So here's why I want you to start considering that. Think of it as a boss. Think of it as a boss. There's a good boss and there's a bad boss, right? I think everyone can say that, or even a teacher. We've all had a bad teacher. We've all had a good teacher. We've all had a good boss and a terrible boss. So if it can happen at school, if it can happen at work, why can't it happen? Those are the logical areas. Why can't it happen in a higher plane, a higher world, a thing that maybe we can't see, or at least to the untrained eye, you can't see, the spiritual level? What if there's things that are actually influencing us for dark and for light? Just like I talked about that Mexican kid who had that issue. Like, there's logical examples of it, but what if those logical examples were actually manipulated by a spiritual thing? Could be possible, right? So if you think about it like that, could they be manifested? Like, did they create that newspaper article and that tooth drawing? Or did someone else do it? Or did that spiritual energy deed not create it themselves, but they created by influences, by situations, by pulling strings to make the person, for example, let's say that Mexican kid and his father, they couldn't actually create those environments themselves. So what they did instead was they targeted the Mexican dad. And by targeting the Mexican dad, they used him as a proxy to create those things. Do you see, like, if they can't actually physically alter or manipulate things because of their spiritual limitations, or maybe they have to respect free will or anything of that nature, how can you bypass that? Well, just say, well, what if I gave you guys all my notes? All of them. Everything that I've done. And I just mail it to you. And I drop it in front of you. There's gold nuggets of wisdom in here. You could create social media posts with it. You could literally write stories with it. You could record it. You could read it and have a pretty good podcast or video. Did I influence you? What do you guys think? I just literally dropped it in front. You don't even know me. I could literally just search a random address in Google Maps and send it to them and give this to them. What do you guys think? Now, let's say it's a 12-year-old girl. I'm like, oops, probably should have done my research and not send it to her. And nothing happens. She just throws it away. But what if it's a 29-year-old ambitious dude that's been trying to figure out how he's going to go viral on social media because that's his dream. And he just clicks with this and is like, oh my gosh, this is gold. And just like that, I completely changed his reality. I completely changed his path. And it was just by dropping something off. He never even met me. I never physically touched him or physically met him. Think about it. So if you believe that that's possible, if you can believe that that's possible, can you believe that there's a chance? Because I'll just say it. I 100% believe that there are spiritual forces, both light and dark, that are manipulating events and helping events at the same time. And the sooner you're willing to explore that option, the sooner that you're going to not only be protected, but that you can actually use it for your own good as well. We'll talk about it more, but I'm trying to explain it in the most simplistic, logical way first before going into the details, because it's a lot, especially when you can't see it or maybe feel it at first. You can get there, by the way. It's a process to fully understand everything that I'm saying. But think about it like this. There's good signs and bad signs. I can have a stop sign that's clear, and I can have a stop sign that has graffiti on it. Good? Bad. I think we can all be in agreement there. Wouldn't you say? So let's talk really quick about the power of suggestion. If I talk to you about, hey, I have a giraffe growing out of my neck, you can picture a giraffe literally growing out of my neck. If I tell you that I just had a warm coffee that's steaming and I drank in the backyard with an apple tree covering me with beautiful shade and a breeze blowing the crisp yellow leaves across my face, you can picture that. That's called the power of suggestion. Power suggestion is one of the most dangerous tools, and I should be careful about telling this, but I just need people to be aware. It's one of the most dangerous and powerful tools that you can use in anything. If you want to learn how to be a great salesperson, learn about the power of suggestion. You can start making people believe things that are not even true. All you have to do is continue to suggest it to them. And once the suggestion has seeped in, once the suggestion is in there, just going back to what I first talked about, which is if there's a wound, if you have a wound, a cut, you want to protect, right? You put that Band-Aid there for a reason, so nothing. But what if you don't have a Band-Aid? And all of a sudden, you decide, foolish decision, but so be it, cut like some serranos or jalapenos, or maybe use some hot sauce or salsa, and it seeps in, or maybe some lime juice. It's going to burn. It's going to burn. That's what the power of suggestion can do, right? If you have a little cut and you can keep suggesting something to someone, you can literally start making them believe things that aren't true, that aren't real. Like they weren't there inside you before. They literally got planted. That's what the power of suggestion does. Like if I keep telling you, like, man, we should really do a karaoke night one of these days. We should really do a karaoke night one of these days. You should do it, and you keep doing that, and you keep doing that, and you keep doing that, and you keep doing that. And then, like, every time I text you, like, when I be, you're my friend, like, every night I say, yo, when are we doing the karaoke night? I might eventually get you to not only be more interested in karaoke, but actually plan it. That's what the power of suggestion does. So imagine if you're a sales guy and you want to start convincing clients that they should upgrade their technology stack and their cybersecurity. Be like, did you hear what happened to the group next door? They got hacked 2 days ago. I just finished helping them recover everything. They almost got everything, but they had to pay $1 million fine or whatever to get their data back from the hackers. Yeah, but we covered half of it. That's just what we do because they're going to use our thing. So we want it to be good, and we're protecting them now. But do you have anything? It's like, those hackers, they're brutal. And what did you just do? You just, now, first of all, they know the people next door. Now they can envision it. Now they can relate. Now they can understand. Now they're afraid. So now you're selling through fear. I mean, do you see where I'm going with this? Like, so what if there's good spiritual things, just like good people, bad spiritual things, just like bad people, and just like a good salesman won't do that, but a bad salesman would. It's signs. You're giving them signs. You're giving them power suggestion, and you keep doing that, and you keep doing that, and you keep doing that, and you keep doing that. And just like the story about the little Mexican kid, what if you start reinforcing it? So now that business is worried about being hacked and cybersecurity. What if all of a sudden now I don't know, let's just go dark. The dark sales guy does this. He literally pays one of his script kiddies, if you haven't heard of the term. Basically, just think of it like a 20-year-old kid that's a hacker. And I'm like, hey, try to hack them. And all of a sudden, like, they get an alert or something that one of their computers got like their password change and like a background change, and nothing major happened, but you're like, oh, someone literally hacked us. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to call me and they're going to be like, hey, Star Diplomat. I'm like, what's up? Can we have a meeting? I'm like, sure. What's up? We want to look into cybersecurity. Something changed our background on our computers, and we don't know of anything else, but we're so worried. I'm like, oh my gosh, No, it might be the hackers. Okay. Can we meet tomorrow or Friday? 10 a.m. or 11 a.m.? Two weeks later, I'm doing shots with my boss because we sold him a $300,000 deal per year, 5-year contract. Just like that. That's how it's done. So if it can happen like that, what if it could happen outside? And like I said, what if they can't create the newspaper or the tooth drawing? What if they need someone, an entity, a human, something, a dog, to do it? I don't know, right? Like, I'm not saying that they just manifested. You know, that's a different a topic for another day. I won't get into that yet, but if you can start now reinforcing those negative situations, you discover what their fears and their insecurities and their traumas and their pains are. Hey, you know that girl got abandoned by her dad, and maybe she got, I don't know, sexually abused or raped, pardon the serious topics, like camp or church when she was young. So for some reason now, all of her recommended like videos or ads, there's always discussions about we must protect girls who get raped. It's a good ad. It's a good video. Like, it's a documentary about, hey, we're literally trying to protect girls who got raped. Like, come on, guys, donate, help them. Do you think she's going to see it that way? Do you think she's going to be happy about that? Really? No. If she hasn't put in the tremendous amount of work and energy and time to heal that trauma, to heal that trigger, to heal that insecurity, she's going to be triggered. And even if you've healed it, if you're even a little bit unhealed in any other way, like a trigger can still cause a minor stab. It's like if right now I just poked you with a fork, it's going to hurt a little bit. Might not hurt as much as a knife, but it still hurts. Do you see how easy it could be? So what if, like, even not thinking about it on the spiritual level, what if literally you can just say, hey, social medias, I'm not going to name any names. It's like, hey, can we put some of these ads in there? And can we find out which, like, can we like read their posts? Like, can we use AI to scan everything that they talk about and study, like, maybe we can access their content and their pictures and their private notes with AI on their phone, and we can find out if they actually got raped. Maybe they have a journal and they talk about that. And now we can create specific ads and things of that nature to find out what their triggers are and just keep showing it to them. So now we know that they're going to be afraid. And what if they're afraid? Then, okay, now that we got them afraid, now they're going to want maybe therapy. So now we pushed a therapist. Maybe this therapist encourages them to do something that will help engage with the system and go to work and spend more money, so that then they have to become a slave and get the Venus flytrap. And you guys see the loop? Do you guys see the loop? Do you guys see the loop? This is how it works. And so forth and so forth. And it's just, once you see it, you can't unsee it. It makes sense. All of it is just connected. And like I said, it doesn't even have to be on a spiritual level, right? Like, I truly want people to consider it and start paying attention. Just look at things and be like, wait a minute, how did that happen? Could there be something that we can't see, but that we can feel, that is actually playing games with us? It's impacting the arena, the gladiator arena that is Earth. But just think about it purely from corporations and social media and ads. Just that alone. So if it happens there, why can't we take the leap? So with that, I want to tell you a story about cilantro. So one of the things that I'm struggling with in this journey, and this is why I'm starting these recordings and live streaming, and hope to build a community where I can start discussing this with you guys and start seeing what resonates, what doesn't, what clicked, what didn't, and start refining the process and start teaching it um, with Canva, whiteboards, drawings, videos down the road, maybe make video games, voice acting, art, like just in every shape or form, just find ways to communicate these messages. And if people want to reach out to me and have me explain it to them one-on-one and then they can make something, please, for free, gladly, I would gladly do that for you. This message just needs to be spread far and wide. This needs to get to everyone. This needs to be explained. This needs to be understood. And here's the best part. You don't have to believe me, but what I just want you to do and try is try it, experience it, see it, be like, wait a minute. I mean, that sounds super conspiracy, but I mean, actually, just give it a chance one day and just start paying attention. Just look at things like, wait a minute, how could they know that? Why did that show up? Actually, the heck? And you can say that targeted ads or things like that is cool, right? Like, hey, you want a new car? It's cool to get ads around a car, but just start thinking about it, start paying attention to it. Even something positive can lead to a lot of negatives. So the cilantro story. My brother has some kind of recessive gene or something of that nature where, according to him, when he eats cilantro, it tastes like soap to him. He doesn't enjoy the flavor. He doesn't like it. And to me, I can't comprehend that. I mean, cilantro is great, but it's not like it's my favorite thing in the world. But I'm just like, how does it taste like soap? Like, it literally does not taste that way for me at all. 0%. I cannot relate. It just is not real for me. It's not true. Yet when he tells me that, I'm just like, oh my gosh, wow, really? Man, that sucks. That's horrible. I'm like, oh gosh, I would hate that. Like, I know I've had sometimes accident, like maybe I didn't fully wash my hands well or something, and there's like a little bit of soap residue, and all of a sudden you eat something and you taste the soap, and it's like, yeah, I get it. It's not fun. I wouldn't like that either. So, but I believe him. I'm just like, yeah, that's possible. So if we believe that, if it's possible to believe that someone can literally eat the same food and it can taste completely different for them to a radical extreme, why can't we believe that there might be something just like that, a taste that we can't see or experience? Why can't there be spiritual entities, energies that literally are influencing the world around us that we can't see? Why is it that the cilantro logical story is believable, but the other one isn't? Why is it that, have you guys ever paid attention to the fact that there's certain topics that the moment you bring them up, what are the terms people throw around? Conspiracy theorist. Oh, schizophrenic. Oh, clearly something's wrong with you. Why wouldn't it instead be, hey, I'm actually curious why you think that? Why wouldn't it be a conversation? Why is it immediately an attack? Why is it immediately they silence it by just dismissing the credibility? Why do they attack the credibility? Why do they attack the person? Why not be like, well, wait a minute. Why do we think these people think this? Like, to me, that's the most interesting part. Like, I'm just like, how many people that I saw in my entire life growing up that everyone told me they're messed up, what if they actually knew things, but since everyone around them told them that they're crazy, they actually ended up believing that they are crazy? What if they had figured it out? What if they knew? What if they realized like what's going on? What if they could see these spirits or these energies? But if everyone tells you that you're something, even if you're not, you might start believing them. So ask yourself, why would it be that the governments, the powers that be, the people who have influence would intentionally try to dismiss people, make people believe that they're crazy? Like, who does? Like, why? Like, would you ever do that to your sister or to your brother or to your parents? Like, even if you thought they were, you'd be like, no, you're not crazy. Maybe you've experienced a lot of things. You've gone through a lot. Like, you see, like, there's compassion, there's empathy. Like, even if you don't believe, like, you're not going out there attacking. So ask yourself, why would they attack? Why would they be showing love? Why wouldn't they help? Why are our mental health institutes basically just literally prisons? They don't care about rehab and therapy and getting you into a good position. Not at all. It's just literally, you're just there so that you're out of the way from everyone else. So that there's no way that you can actually maybe open someone else's eyes to what's going on. That's what I believe. So think about that. We are willing to believe that, oh, this girl has celiac and she can't eat meat or else she reacts that way. But I eat meat and nothing happens. So we're willing to believe that, but we can't believe that maybe there's an entity that can literally influence something right now around me. I know it's true. 100%. 100%. I would bet it on my son's life. And I'm going to discuss it a lot more down the road. But I just wanted to get that out there so that people realize that this is not a joke. This is World War III is already happening. And it's a spiritual war. And the sooner you come to accept that and realize that that's the case, the sooner you're going to be able to participate and start making a change and an impact. A lot is going to change in this world very, very quickly. Now that exposure is happening at a mass level. There's a reason why awakening and things I mean, pay attention. Like, how many weird things have been happening around you? And weird being like just anything. I call it, pay attention to differences. Pay attention to differences. So if you have your mugs lined up perfectly and you know how you lined them up, and yet one move, like all of a sudden you come home one day and it's different. You're like, what happened? Did someone break in? Wind? Just doesn't mean it's anything negative, but pay attention to differences. Be open to it. And you're not inviting negative things in. You're not denying things. You're just open-minded. Literally, like, why do you think those fictional books, Chronicles of Narnia, Harry Potter, it's all the same thing? They're like, oh, once they become adults, they stop believing, they can't see it anymore. There's a reason for that. It's true. We're literally indoctrinated to fully believe in logic. And ask yourself, why is it that we're pushed to just logic and wave everything away? It's like, oh, there's no way. I used to be the most logical person. I used to literally believe that. I mean, I wasn't religious. I wasn't anything. Like, it was just pure facts. And I'm like, everything that I accomplished was my own doing and my own actions. And here I am. So, and I'm not here to convince you. I want you to be prepared for what's going down and what's going to happen. And it's going to keep escalating. And as more things get exposed, they're going to ramp up their attacks out of desperation. So, and if you're not ready for it, you're going to be a victim. Don't be a victim. So, what if those things that Mexican kid saw, the tooth in the newspaper, were an illusion? An illusion being it wasn't supposed to be there. Now, you could say that it might not even be real. Like, literally, you touch it and your hand goes through it. Like, that's a possibility. I don't know. Like, I'm not encouraging you to touch these things, but I don't think that's the case. I think that they can be manifested physically. But if it wasn't supposed to be there, could you say it's an illusion? If literally I know that my wife hates spiders, I collect some outside, some dead corpses, and I start just placing them on the floor. Every night I go to bed after her, and I start placing them on the floor. Boom, 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 boom. And she starts seeing them every morning, and I'm just like, what's going on? I'm like, what's going on? Why are you waking me up? Why are you screaming? And she's like, spiders. I know that I placed them there. She doesn't. I'm just like, oh my God, why are you seeing spiders? Now you can say that I'm an asshole for me. Absolutely. Why did I'm doing that? But think about that. So if I can do that, that's an illusion. It wasn't real. It was fabricated. It was placed there. That the sooner you can come to accept that there are things influencing us to that level, fabricated placements of things, of events, of situations, and it could be literally spiritual, and it can be just people around you. Once you are willing to accept that, everything changes. All of a sudden, things make sense. So let me ask you this. Would you live a normal life if you aren't normal? If you could see these spiritual entities, let's just say, would you live a regular life? If you realize that money is energy and it's just feeding a dark entity or like the president of the company or things of that nature, would you continue operating in that system, in that game? Would you do so to blend in? Why? For who? For what? So that the Dark One and Posey don't go after you? What if we all just said, screw it? What are they going to do? If no one worked anymore for these human ranches, these companies that treat us like slaves, what are they going to do? I know the argument is there's always going to be someone who doesn't value themselves, who doesn't have self-worth, who's willing to eat crap and work for the worst pay. But like hypothetically speaking, let's say even them. Let's say we had a group of people that like tackled them. They're about to like hand in their resume and like apply in person, and we tackle them and we stop them. What would those corporations do? What would those companies do? How would they get energy now? What would they do? Ask yourself that. What if everyone stopped paying rent and mortgage tomorrow? That's it. No more. What if everyone stopped paying their credit card bills tomorrow? No more. Not a single dollar spent on any of that stuff. Money, no more. How fast would the system break if everyone just collectively said, no more? And I ask you something. If a system can break that easily, is it a well-designed system? What do you guys think? There's a saying from Kant philosophy about maxims, which is basically, think of it as like a law or a rule. If you make something a maxim, if you make it a rule, it has to pass a certain test. Can you apply it to everyone? And if you do, does it hold true? If not, does it break? So for example, if you allow some people, let's say the rule is everyone has to keep their promises, but then you add in a caveat where it's like some people can break their promises. Okay, sure, yep, I get it, right? Like, hey, something came up, my son got sick, so I promised you I was going to be there for the move to help you move tonight, but I can't, right? I don't think anyone would fault a father for doing that, but he broke his promise. He literally said, I'll promise you. So what happens then if 1 billion people, 1 billion dads broke their promise that day? Promises don't mean a lot then. They literally lose a lot of their meaning. And that's something that we have to think about, right? Like it's the same thing, like and this is something that I struggled with, it's like if you're raised to believe that you should always tell the truth, except if it hurts others, right? At what point do you know when it's hurting someone? So right now, like, am I hurting someone by talking about this stuff? Probably. The dark ones, the dark people, they're not going to be happy. They're going to suppress this. But there's going to be people that are going to help me. They're going to spread this. that are going to spread this message. And if you hear this, and it doesn't matter, I don't need viewers or people to engage with this, but if you capture this message, if you get anything, spread it as far as possible, just so that people can start debating it and start contemplating it. But it just comes down to this, right? Like, they are praying, they being the people who want our energy, who have designed this game, this system, this situation, however deep you believe it goes, they're praying that we never realize the following. They literally say, do not cross this red line or else. Imagine, right here, straight down my face, there's a red line. We're right here on this side, my left eye. We're all over here. And they say, if you cross this red line, you're going to get fired, you're going to get beat up, you're going to get killed, you're going to get hurt, you're going to whatever, right? Like you won't be able to take care of your family, you won't be able to take care of your kids. Like, it's going to be bad. No healthcare, all this stuff like that. If you quit your job, basically think of it like, if you quit your job, this is the line. And they're scaring you. They're giving you all this bad information. So eventually, let's say you're stuck in a toxic job and you're just like, I can't handle this anymore. And this was me, and this was my situation. You cross the line and you're like, wait a minute. This is paradise. This is amazing. This is incredible. Why don't more people realize that you can live like this? That we could do this? That this could be reality. If everyone does this, this will be reality. This is going to be reality, by the way. Like, it's going to happen. It's 100% guaranteed. There's nothing they can do to stop this anymore. The point is, the way it's going to look is the question. It's going to be shaped by all of us. We're going to decide together. We're going to be, because we're one. We're literally one entity that's figuring this out together. And we're going to create a new world, and we're going to create our paradise after we all cross the line. But how's it going to look? That is for all of us to decide together. It's not my decision. It's our decision. But the decision to cross the line, that's happening. So if one person realizes that they crossed, that everything was a lie, but he goes alone, what happens? Now, let's say there's a few guards posted right at the edge of the line. They attack that guy. They can stop him. They can beat him. They can make sure they can threaten him. They can silence him, or else, if he says anything that he saw across this line, he's going to get in trouble. What happens if we cross together? What happens if we cross together? And what if now that, well, let's be real. Like, I say this with the utmost love and compliment. The majority of people are followers, sheep. There's nothing wrong with that. Sheep guided by a lion are unstoppable. So imagine there's just nonstop amount of sheep crossing the line because they see other people doing, like, okay, I'm going to do it too. They just keep walking over. There's only a few guards guarding that line. Who are they going to choose? They're going to stop a few people. Unfortunately, that's the sad part of this. And hopefully then we can inspire people to protect their fellow man and help the person next door. But if there's 1,000 people crossing and there's only 3 guards, the majority of people are going to make it across. It's time. It's time to put your foot across the line. It's time. What are you waiting for? Picture this. There's 2 kids born into a family and abusive parents. They imprison their children in a basement. A boy and a girl. And it's just terrible conditions. There's a mattress, maybe one blanket. Maybe they're even chained to the wall. There's a toilet and there's a shower, but they don't even have toys, or maybe just like some broken toys, and basically it's a terrible environment down there. They don't have really the things that they need as a child. They don't have social interaction, they don't have light, they don't have good food, they don't have a lot of water. Their parents are barely interacting with them. They figure it out. They're raised like that since they're babies, so they literally never left the house. They never left the basement. They literally stayed down there the entire time. They're like 12 years old now. It's completely normal. They've lived a full life down there. At any point, their parents could actually have brought them upstairs and let them eat, let them drink, let them sleep in good beds, show them good toys, movies, books, whatever, right? I mean, in one way, you could say that they were protected from all indoctrination and conditioning and programming. But the other way, which is interesting, because if you would show it to them and they would go to the outside world, they would be completely lost. They'd be like, wait, what? What is all this? Like, no, you guys are wrong. This is not how the world works. But, those parents didn't choose to let the kids upstairs because it benefits them in some way. Why? I don't know why, but think about it. If they don't do it, it probably or they're afraid. It could be a trauma response. But that's why, think about it, the people who are stopping you from crossing the line, who don't want you to leave the system, or who don't, there's a reason for it. It's either a fear or trauma response, which, if so, I get it, and I feel sorry for them, and let's work it through. But then we can have a conversation, and we can solve it. And if they need us to stay in the system and work and do that because they're in so much pain, then I guarantee you the majority of people will try to find a compromise. Okay, hey, how about I work 10 hours less, but if you need that help, if that's going to help you heal, I would love for you to heal, boss. But I have a feeling the majority of it is not because of that, and it's because it benefits them and their vested self-interest. And if you believe that there's a dark one like I do, something that needs the energy, that it's literally created and manufactured and fabricated an entire system and found a way to literally create these insecurities and fears and trigger them at basically at will. And it has so many loyal henchmen that don't even realize that they were created from the beginning, the moment they were born. Well, you have to start asking yourself, why don't they help? Why don't they help? Why doesn't the government do more? Why? Why don't they help the homeless? Why do they send so much money to Ukraine and to other war and nations? To protect it? For peace? Sure, I'm glad. Protect the country. It's good. War is terrible. There should be peace. We should all be standing in a circle of peace and all become friends and accept each other and have conversations and understand each other and spread love. But ask yourself, how many billions of dollars have they given to a foreign country? If they even gave 1 billion of that to one state, just one state, $1 billion to all exclusively spend on basically providing shelter for people so that every single person has a home and food and water and electricity and internet. Or how about we just talk to the real estate people and tell them, and landlords, hey, for this next year, because of everything the world has been going through, we are completely eliminating rent, fees, and mortgages. A freeze, an entire freeze. No more charging them at all. We're going to figure out a new system. It's no longer going to be for profit. It's going to be, since it's a necessity for survival, now people are going to literally just have it given to them. Not because we're trying to create lazy people, but because the moment you free up issues of survivability, you create security. If you create security, you eliminate a big reason and creation of insecurity, because people are no longer worried about those things. Now they're just worried about how can they spend their time. So the point is, there's many things to think about, but right, you start going down this rabbit hole and you start understanding that there's a lot of things that could be different, yet they're not. And you have to start asking yourself, why not? Why does it have to be that way? And the moment you start going down that rabbit hole and you start researching and you start talking to people, and eventually you're going to spiritually awaken and you're going to be able to communicate with spiritual guides and understand what's going on in the world in the deeper level, that there's a lot that you don't see, that actually the world operates very differently. And we're going to build up to that. I already gave a lot more than I thought I would. The point being, it's just, you start asking yourself, is it intentional? Like, they could solve these problems, yet we're worried about abortion again. Yet, well, why did Roe versus Wade get overturned then? Why didn't we just leave it? Like, you see, like, they created they fabricated a scenario by all of a sudden making that an issue again, and now everyone's focused on that. And like, I just remember I grew up living in 6 different countries, and I came to the United States for high school. And literally, like, I just remember a girl asking me, like, are you Republican or Democrat? And what do you believe in, abortion or not? And I'm just like, I mean, hold on. I mean, I haven't really thought about that. I'm kind of neutral. She's like, it's not possible. I'm like, I just didn't really care about those issues. It's not. And then they called me heartless. And I was just like, am I? To me, like, I was 15. Abortion didn't affect me. Right? Like, I didn't really care about I couldn't even vote yet. Like, I was just like, it's like they're completely indoctrinated to believe in that those are the big issues. I'm like, are you gonna get pregnant tomorrow or something? Like, why is it this the big deal for you? Like, or like this 12-year-old girl that's like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with any of these things, but do you see what, like, we're led to chase and be focused on these specific issues? I don't know. I want people to think about it. I really want people to think about this stuff, because the programming, the conditioning, and indoctrination that's going on is absurd. And the sooner you start catching it, the sooner you're going to start realizing that it's everywhere. It's everywhere. So anyway, just to go back to, because I got completely sidetracked, but this is my mission. This is my oath. This is my faith. This is my prayer. This is my wish. And I'm not going to stop until everything changes. So for those who want to stop me, this is going to spread like wildfire. So now imagine, going back to the kids in the basement example, that an infiltrator sneaks information to the kids. He somehow breaks into the house and has a folder. And it has pictures, it has stories, it has books, it has games, it has toys, it has videos, it has all these things, and they sneak it under. So now these kids, they see this. They literally see this folder and these stories and these books and these videos, and they start looking at each other, and they're like, hey sis, like, what is this? They look like us, but what are they doing? Like, what is this world? Like, maybe they talk to their parents the next time they get food brought to them while they're stuck in chains, not realizing that they're slaves, but that's what they are. And the parents get mad at them and they take it away. And I'm like, why did you get mad at us? Like, what's wrong with this? Like, how did you get this? Why are you believing this? This is heretic discussions. This is evil. This people who talk about this stuff have schizophrenia. These people have issues. They have mental health issues. Like, they're bad. Like, we need to imprison people who do this stuff. For the first time ever, these kids realize that it can be different. Why don't we question? Now, every day they are like, oh wait, why were those kids laughing and smiling and like swinging? What is this swinging? Why would the parents create doubt and not want them to know? Maybe they feel guilty, and I understand that part. That's real, right? If they made a mistake and they feel guilty, that's real. I completely get that one. But when you don't even want to try to help, so like, what if this information comes out and the government, instead of trying to help the people, instead tries to suppress it? You ask yourself, why? Why wouldn't they try to help the fellow men? Why do they want people to become slaves? Why do they want people to continue working in human ranches, getting all their energy drained for other people? Why do we need to operate on money? Why does healthcare need to be tied to a job? Oh wait, because it gets you to engage with the system. You guys see, like, I can keep going, right? But point being, it's time. It's time to cross the red line. Are you ready to take that step? Have a good night, guys.